Hey everybody, Lucid Bomb here, Fits of Rage. How's it going? I'm back at City Hall again, because a lot's happened since the last time I was here. The people of Vista voted to pass Measure Z, which means that the city is going to get dispensaries now. But some things have to happen before those go in, so let's go see what they have in mind. Yeah, I know, it's the boring stuff, but it's the boring stuff that makes the fun stuff possible.
And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Okay, so they took a little break to honor a council member because they're naming a day after him and to have some cake. But I think they're about ready to go back in.
Measure Z established a variety of timelines for its implementation. This calendar is an effort to inform the public as to the actual days of the calendar year when those events will take place. But it gives the council and most importantly the public and people who are interested in submitting applications the days in December and in January and February when certain events will take place, culminating in the issuance of licenses sometime in the period of February 21 to February 28.
My name is Damian Martin. I'm a cannabis attorney. I represent a bunch of clients, collectives, cooperatives that are ultimately going to submit an application under Measure Z. I'm up here speaking because I wanted you guys to pull this item off the consent calendar because I just think there's more consideration that can go into it. If I were going to do this, I would literally on December 21st, I would release the applications and announce the submission date 7 days later on the 28th. The applicants that you get are going to be the best ones, the ones that are most prepared. If you let this go out on the January 22nd, you're going to get all the riffraff, all the speculators, because you're giving them plenty of time to kind of ramp up and get an application together.
I thought all this stuff, December 11th, December 21st, January 7th, January 14th, January 22nd was pretty quick. I don't know that we could have it ready faster.
Actually, we're working within Measure Z's timelines.
Okay.
We're faithfully following everything that was put in Measure Z by its authors.
I move that we adopt City Council resolution establishing the implementation calendar for Measure Z, the Citizens Medical Cannabis Business Initiative.
Implementation of Measure Z by amending Chapter 5.04 and adopting an urgency ordinance establishing a moratorium on marijuana-related uses other than those permitted by Measure Z.
We need to amend our business license ordinance, which currently does not encompass business licenses for marijuana, in order to permit them to be able to implement Measure Z. So this does not in any way interfere with Measure Z, and in fact it is intended to make sure that the dispensaries that are going to invest their time and effort in coming in under Measure Z are not undercut by illegal operations within the city. We believe that the moratorium is necessary because of potential confusion by some people thinking that in some way Measure Z has opened this up to anyone and to everyone, and that is certainly not the case, and we do not want to have people initiating illegal operations here while we're getting the Measure Z people set up.
I am a public health educator, and I wanted to address the two ordinances that you're considering. Perhaps those who have operated illegally in the city of Vista in the past, and maybe over the next couple of months accidentally, also not be considered as applicants. And so anyone who's dishonored the laws of Vista, I think, should probably be disqualified from being applicants.
I am a cannabis attorney and I work in local licensing and state regulations. My concern is with section 5.04145 on the prohibition and issuance of the business licenses. I merely ask that you consider revising the regulations so that it is consistent with state law and Measure Z and the will of the people.
Why is it that the labs are being added into the group of potential risk to the public when they're the ones that provide the public safety? I've heard a lot of things about the labs that have failed to do their job. We're not that lab. We're going to have all of the tests, all of the equipment, and have tests that are even required at this point. We're here to help bring science here, and I'm wondering why labs are being put on the back shelf, given they have the longest lead time to get set up.
I'm a former Navy veteran. I was a hospital corpsman for 6 years. I did a combat pump to Iraq as a combat medic. I believe it's in the city's best interest to clarify the moratorium. I think it's in the city's best interest to outright disqualify individuals who have been running dispensaries illegally. And then I also think that it would be in the city's best interest to clarify the willingness to work with those individuals that are here trying to establish these businesses within their own cities, especially considering that a lot of these cannabis corporations are going to be coming in and essentially trying to snatch up the dispensaries as much as they can right off the bat.
I'm caveat right on what he said in regards to the ordinance because I have the same complaint. He's a Navy veteran, I'm a Marine veteran. My small recommendation would be to simply delete line 16, push it to the end of this chapter and say all personnel who meet the specific requirements above may submit an application. I know this may bring a burden on the city, being that you may receive a few more applications, but I can assure that it won't be a heavy burden. I'm pretty sure Vista's not going to have too much of a workload for the staff to accommodate.
The ordinance, Proposition Z, was not, as many people know, but perhaps not everyone, was not drafted by the city or the city attorney. Rules and limitations, conditions that you find in Chapter 5.94 were drafted outside, but they have been adopted by the people at the vote. So they are the law, but we are going to implement it. We're going to implement it according to its terms and conditions, and we're going to make it work within the spirit of what the people of Vista voted to pass.
I respect the fact that Measure Z was passed by the people of Vista, and it's the will of the people. And from this council member, you have the commitment that the city will implement it fairly and will execute the will of the people, because we are here to represent the will of the people. And I hope that there are good business operators who will be good neighbors, who will not create nuisances. I truly hope that that's the case. I'm very hopeful for that. The question about whether we could prohibit those who had previously violated our laws probably would be the preference of the council, certainly would be mine, to prohibit those individuals, but I'm not sure that we've retained the authority under Measure Z to do that.
We are getting into the process of preparing regulations to implement Proposition Z. But at the moment, my view is we do not have that power.
Unfortunately, we don't have the authority to delete different lines that are within the policy that were voted in by the city. So some of the stipulations that you guys would like us to change, unfortunately we can't. That's the way the proposition was drawn up. That's law, and we have to abide by the law. I know that Measure AA did pass, which also gave us the ability to implement taxes on the cultivation, manufacturing, testing, distribution, the other avenues of medical marijuana moving forward. And it sounds like my council will be open to that. I'm sure we'll be directing staff to figure out how we can implement testing facilities and possibly other facilities that could create high-paying jobs for Vistans within our community, being that's what our community
You're the last, you're the edge.
I move that we accept staff's recommendation and adopt the city ordinance as posted.
Okay, please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously.
All right, well that went really smoothly. Vista, you're getting dispensaries. And it's about time. Now Vista can finally start to move past all this dispensary raid nonsense that's been happening over the past several years. You know, California voted in recreational cannabis 2 years ago, and medicinal cannabis, which this is all about, 22 years ago. So it's kind of about time that something happened. And big thanks to the citizens of Vista for passing Measure Z, and thank you to the City Council for doing your job and pushing this forward. I'm really anxious to see where this goes. I know that the council had their own measure and probably disappointed that it didn't pass, but you know, that's not the one that the citizens apparently wanted. So Measure Z, moving forward with it, I am looking forward to seeing what becomes of it. Dispensaries in Vista. But right now it's time to take a dab and call it a day. If you like these videos, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. They're not always city council meetings. And if not, I'll see you around.